Howdy, and welcome back to the podcast. Today we have another new guest, Mr. Adrian Wolff, and Adrian is a personal trainer, I think, or an exercise scientist. I would say probably more than a personal trainer, and then an author, and currently getting his PhD at UNLV and studying all sorts of cool things. So we're just going to get into all sorts of exercise science stuff, and also exactly who Adrian is. So thank you for being here, man.
Thanks for the invite, man. Appreciate it.
So, because I have the books in front of me,
Yeah.
which book came first? We have Skate, Lift, Recover, a simple strength and conditioning framework for high performance hockey players. Interesting. And then Awareness Before Action, a principle based approach for sustainable weight loss, physical activity, and health. Which one came first, and then why did you write books?
So Skate, Lift, Recover came first. Actually, that was in 2023 when I was working with hockey players. So I used to work with hockey players, the strength and conditioning aspect of hockey up in City National Arena in Summerlin. That's where the Golden Knights practice, and there's a nice private facility over there on the second floor, right next to Mackenzie River. So I was hired on as the assistant strength and conditioning coach in 2023 to help training their hockey players, everybody from 10U kids all the way up through the UNLV hockey team. We also had a juniors hockey team there as well. They were the Las Vegas Thunderbirds at the time. Now they're the Henderson Force, but they're a Tier 3 juniors hockey club. And juniors are basically a way to get into college to play college hockey.
Nice.
So a lot of athletes, they go through a program like that and get into a college program eventually if they want to, if they're good enough. But also there's Tier 2 and Tier 1. So Tier 1, a lot of like NHL scouts will recruit from those teams because the players are good enough as well. But anyway, that's a little bit about the hockey aspect there. But so I coached there for 2 years, and during that time, I was really getting into the hockey scene. I wanted to eventually transition and move on as a strength conditioning coach, probably at the minor league levels, and then work my way up to the NHL. That was the goal at the time. And so along with all the coaching, I wanted to get into all the research, right? And I've always been big into writing since high school. I can remember I wrote a guest column in high school. It was not great at all. At least I didn't think it was. My parents thought it was awesome, but
Of course, yeah. It's a good parents.
yeah, exactly. But I was writing about it's so interesting looking back at it now, like video game addiction and the PlayStation, because in high school I did a lot of that stuff, especially during the summer times. Like I was definitely addicted to video games.
Yeah.
Getting up in the morning, playing all day until my parents got home, and then stopping. It was not great. It was not great. But so I started realizing that in high school, and so I wrote a column there, and I really enjoyed it, and it kind of came easy to me. And so I had an idea for a book. I didn't know which book it was, but I grew up playing hockey in Chicago since I was 5 years old, and it was a passion of mine. So I was like, all right, now's the time. I kind of have I'm working part-time a little bit, kind of on and off. Hours are, not very firm. So took the time and wrote 3-4 hours a day, several days a week for about 6 months or so. Put the book together, got a copy editor. She did her thing, made it look all nice and pretty and everything, and then I self-published it through Amazon, the Kindle Direct Publishing platform, and that's how it all started. So started getting the word out about that book, and it's still going, still on Amazon and everything. So. And I also made a Instagram profile for it because there's a lot of exercises in there too. So I just made Skate Lift Recover _book on Instagram, and I post a whole bunch of exercise video demos because it's kind of hard to visualize from the book, right?
100%.
So I wanted something else, to give people so they can actually see how the exercises are done. So
Very cool.
so that was the main thing there for a while, and then book number 2. came around a few months ago. It's interesting. I published the first one July
I'm gonna hold
2023.
these up real quick. So
Yep.
we got that one.
Yep.
Sorry, it's not just the best. I am in. There you go. I'm in. What's it called? Unfocused. So if I hold it right next to my face, maybe it'll work. So there's the second one. So awareness before action, and the other one was the skate, lift, recover. So tell me about awareness before action.
So Awareness Before Action, that was a book that I published this July. So it's the newest one, and I wanted to be more of a general health and fitness book. So you see a big brain there that is the biggest picture
Yeah.
of the book, right? Why is the brain the biggest thing, right? With the weights and the vegetables
pillow,
and
the
the pillow
vegetable.
there floating on top of it, right? Because I wanted it to be a psychology-based book. There's a million books out there with every special revolutionary little exercise program and nutrition program that you could do. So one of the things throughout my entire experience coaching people seems like the psychological aspect is missing, right? There's no shortage of information about what to do and when to do it. So I wanted to write this one to kind of ask people some difficult questions, getting them to think about things a little bit differently, not quick fixes, not fad diets, but more so long term. All right, because it's no secret, the state of, the health in the United States, right? Look up the numbers. Okay.
Pretty sad.
Yeah. So I don't need to beat a dead horse about that. So what I wanted to do with this is to just start to bring awareness to different ways of thinking about things on a daily basis as they relate to exercise, nutrition, and also recovery. All right, because, all right, that's great that you've started getting into a regular exercise routine, but a lot of people take it too far as well. They get hurt, they get injured, they get burned out, and they don't focus on the recovery aspect as well. So there are strategies, right, in the book, in each one of the chapters for fitness, nutrition, and recovery, but a lot of it is psychology-based, asking yourself the difficult questions in the moment when you need to make those decisions that are either going to pull you closer to your health and longevity goals or further away from them. So that was the biggest thing I wanted to communicate through that book. So, obviously very passionate about it. And to be honest, it's a little blunt at times. So the questions that you have to ask yourself are not very easy. There is some tough love, right, in the book as well. And honestly, I don't feel too bad about it. Sometimes people need tough love, and they need to discipline themselves to make those decisions when they count. So,
Agreed.
yeah.
So, just because that's the last thing we talked about, I have more. I have questions about both, but I think my first question, I think, because of the recency of it, did you have a coach that inspired you to ask yourself hard questions, or did you have to come to that on your own to start asking yourself hard questions, which is what inspired this book? How did it come about?
Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't have any specific coach or mentor. Now, the closest thing I got to this aspect of psychological changes as they relate to exercise and nutrition was there's this book called Conscious Coaching that was released a while ago by a coach named Brett Bartholomew. And he's been a strength coach for a long time, but reading that book started getting me to think about ways to achieve your health and fitness goals in a different way. Because conscious coaching, it's a big psychological foundation book, but it helps strength and conditioning coaches work with their athletes more effectively in that way. So I think that, and I read that book a while ago, but I think that was kind of always in the back of my head to spark that idea for myself for a book. But, I've done personal training for a really long time. I work with a lot of general population clients, just everyday people wanting to be healthier. So I wanted to write something that was similar to that, but not so much athletic performance based. Right? More of like an everyday thing, that people can use.
What are some questions you have for yourself, like consistently in this current time of your life?
Mm-hmm.
Is that, I know it's not necessarily related, but I just am interested. Like, what are you asking yourself now? What are the hard questions, I guess?
Yeah. So for the nutritional aspect, let me give you an example. Whenever, in general, I kind of stick to a whole foods approach, and that works for me. It makes my body feel the best.
And for those that don't know, what is whole foods? What does that mean?
So whole foods are foods with just one ingredient, right? Which is the food itself. All right. So meats, your protein, right? Chicken, what is in there? Chicken. All right. It's obviously composed of a lot of other, different things. But all you're eating is the chicken versus, let's say, like a protein bar, for example. All right. There's times to eat a protein bar, right, that can be beneficial. But if you look at the ingredient list on the actual packaged food, it tends to be highly processed and has a lot of fillers and additives, flavors, that kind of stuff that don't necessarily need to be in your body. Now, there's always controversy about if these fillers are actually harmful to the body or not. However, my general principle is the body will function better with whole foods, right, when you eat them in their minimally processed state as compared to an ultra-processed state where manufacturers take the foods and they process them down so much to make them so nutrient depleted that you're really not getting anything out of them rather than the actual calories and macronutrients that they provide, right? So in that regard, throughout the day, I might ask myself, all right, what emotions are tied to my desire to eat ultra-processed foods right now? What am I doing right now, currently? Am I stressed? Am I working hard at school? Do I have my anxiety kind of like out of control right now because I'm thinking about the future? All right. Am I really hungry? Am I really hungry for these foods? Or am I just looking for comfort? All right. And that's what a lot of these ultra-processed foods are. All right. They provide comfort in the through flavors, through textures, through all sorts of different things that manufacturers know how to put them together to make you feel great, right? So it's about catching yourself in the moment, asking yourself what you're feeling in the moment. Is it boredom? Is it stress? Is it anger? But what is the more beneficial way to handle those emotions rather than reaching for the quick thing, which is ultra-processed foods, which are all around us, everywhere. You're not going to be able to get away from them. It's one of the things I talk about in the book, all right, or talk about in the book, is most people are not going to be able to take a cold turkey approach and just get rid of these ultra foods, unless they live up in the mountains, like Ben Greenfield, right?
Sure.
Right? Most people aren't going to be able to do that, all right? So how do you contend with these foods on a daily basis when they're on every single freaking corner and you just can't get away from them? You have to ask yourself these questions in the moment. What are you feeling? What do you really want? Is there a more beneficial way to your health to handle your emotions? Right? And it's the same thing going with exercise, right? Whether it's getting yourself to the gym more or being able to take a step back when you need it, when you're hitting the gym too hard and you're at risk of injuring yourself, all right? Because the gym is also a coping mechanism for a lot of stresses of life too. I'm sure you would agree with that.
It definitely can be.
Yeah.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Sounds to me, the way I phrase it is value-based decision making. And so if I have these core set of values, then any decision that any state that I'm in whether it be stress, anxiety, I can always refer back to these values, and then I can make a better decision.
Exactly.
And so I like that. I like that a lot. And I
Yeah.
think, I mean, it definitely, I think, aligns in, especially working with high performance individuals. Like, you got to tell people, hey, you got to, like, almost always it's more, and we need to pull you back a little bit, then we need to work out more. So then just understanding, hey, this is what we're trying to achieve, and then how do we get there? Right?
Exactly.
How do we realistically get there, and with science?
Yeah, and I love what you said about values there too. Like values and priorities, they kind of go together as well. And one of the big things I wrote about in the book, and with this book, I'm trying to get people to exercise more, to eat better, to recover better, right? So one of the things I try to get across is, all right, I'm a health and fitness coach. I have been for a long time. That is my top priority. All right, nothing is going to top. That is what I shape my days around, right? But a lot of other people, it isn't their top priority, right? However, it can't be at the bottom. It can't be at the very bottom. If it is at the very bottom, the easy things are going to win over, right? The missing the gym is going to win over. The going out with friends instead of, going to the gym in the evening when you said you would is going to win over, right? But like I said, the priority for health doesn't need to be all the way at the top like it is for me, but it needs to be floating somewhere there. All right. So if you imagine like the ocean, right? It can't be all the way down at the bottom, the depths where it's black, with that anglerfish thing.
Yeah, that would not be good.
All right. But it doesn't need to be floating all the way at the top either, right? But it's got to be kind of there where you can kind of see the light a little bit, right? So that you can pull those priorities to the top whenever you're faced with those decisions.
I do like a floating idea. I think having it, because sometimes it's not number one. So when I'm with a session with the client's the first thing on my mind, not necessarily my own health and fitness. And so I think having some fluidity with that, I think, is important. It sounds like it.
Yeah, definitely, and being able to adapt, day to day.
So why'd you get why are you getting a PhD? Why'd you? Okay, so you're writing. You're doing the thing. Why a PhD?
That is a great question, and I will unpack that with you. So.
That's what we're here for.
All right. So I think from the beginning, let's say high school, right? I always strived to be ambitious and to do great things and to maximize my potential in wherever I'm at, right? So from high school, well, actually, I'd say from a kid. Okay, I always wanted to be a professional hockey player, NHL. It's the highest you could go, right? Win a Stanley Cup eventually.
Yeah.
That changed in high school. Got a little burnt out. Then I decided, all right, I want to be a Navy SEAL. Also, an extremely difficult undertaking, but I was always searching for the maximum I could do, right? So I tried that, didn't work out. Got out of the Navy. Then I was like, well, what am I going to do? All right. Well, I enjoy fitness, so I want to go work for a professional sports team, probably hockey, as a strength and conditioning coach because that's what life has given me right now. My options are limited. However, that's where I could take it. But I want to take it as far as I could go, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I start getting along that track. And this is where things get a little difficult and challenging for me. So I moved out here in 2020, and I moved out here. I don't like to beat around the bush, right? So I moved out here for a previous relationship. Relationship turned into a marriage. Marriage turned into a divorce earlier this year.
Sorry, man.
And thanks. But we were together and married during that time. And I was coaching, and there was a lot of different things to think about. Not just for myself, but also the marriage aspect of things.
Yeah.
Right? Financial stability, being around, not necessarily conducive to being a strength and conditioning coach with a pro hockey team, right?
Yeah.
So I had to kind of reprioritize a lot of things and think about the marriage a little bit more, and what was best for us. And I was like, well, I'm not going to take a giant pay cut and go work for a minor league hockey team somewhere around the country, and then we're right back where we were before doing long distance, and it's just like
Long
it's not
distance
gonna work.
sucks.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Been there many times. So I had to make the difficult decision of what was best for us and what was going to make us the most financially stable, and something I still enjoyed doing. And I had an opportunity, right, to go to UNLV for the PhD and do tactical human performance research. Obviously, I didn't get into the SEAL program, so I was like, well, this is still a way, I can get back in there and support that community or a community similar to that in the maybe the data science or human performance role, but in a way that's going to make me more financially stable, right?
Nice.
So there were a lot of other factors there, but that was one of the biggest deciding factors. So I decided to do it beginning of 2024, and what do you know? A year later, you were divorced, another life change, and that flipped everything upside down for me. This was probably one of the hardest years of my life, probably the hardest year of my life, mentally. Like I've done all the physical shit, before, right? But I feel like all the physical shit prepared me mentally to handle what happened this year. And so I'm in the process. I got a year to go for the PhD, and I'm in the process of figuring things out of what exactly I want to do now, because it's no longer us, right? It's me, and what is going to be best for me in the long term.
Yeah.
And so I was forced to start thinking about myself, a lot more very, very quickly. And I got some time to figure it out and what I want to do with the PhD. But the only thing that's certain right now in my life is the fact that I'm going to finish what I started, going to finish the degree, going to get it, earn it, and figure out what I'm going to do after that to make the best use out of it. So that is
You took me through a wild ride there.
Dude, yeah.
I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to, but what can I say? I'm not gonna beat around the bush. It's been close to a year now. It's the first time I've really talked about it with anybody, other than,
Family.
I've been doing therapy the last year, and highly beneficial. It's been life changing for me. One time, a week, and figured out a lot of things about myself and where I want to go through that process. So, but yeah, it's gonna be quite a ride and a journey coming up. So
I mean,
you're
you're currently on a pretty cool ride, I would say. Even though I know it's in the moment, I think it is tough. But I think I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that the more the stronger the community. So the way I think about it is I want to tell good people about what's going on, and like, hey, I'm sorry that I'm not sorry, but this is what I'm kind of going through, and this kind of sucks. And but at the same time, like I have good people that understand like that there's no judgment. It's just part of this. It's part of your story, and like I think that part of your story maybe right now in the moment kind of sucks to be like living, but then in like 6 months from now, you're going to be like, okay, I understand like why I had to go through that. I understand why I lived through that. This is what it taught me. Like there's still lessons in here, but I think in the middle of it, it is sometimes hard to see what those lessons are. I think very similar to like doing a hypertrophy cycle. Like I do 12 weeks and we start on week 1, 2, and 3. And I'm like, I haven't fucking grown at all. Like what the fuck is this game? Like I was told if I did 4 sets of 12 or 4 weeks that it would fucking work. Yeah. And here I am. I haven't gained any size. And then, you get to your second or maybe even third cycle and you're like, okay, like it's a process. Yeah. And so I think life is a really kind of a beautiful process. And I think with good people around, it makes it a little bit easier.
Oh yeah, definitely. And, up to this point, like it didn't take me long to learn a lot of lessons, going through the whole process. Yeah. So I was learning them as I was going through it, but like now that some more time has gone by and I'm looking back at it, man, the lessons are limitless, and I really feel like, sometimes, a lot of times you have to go to the very bottom, to see what it could be like looking back down from the top when you can actually get out of it. So I'm not going to say I'm glad I went through it. However, living through adversity, whatever it is for you, that's what it is for me currently. Everybody's got their own story and everything. But man, adversity teaches you a lot.
Sure
It really does. You can't be winning all the time.
You definitely can't.
If you are, I don't know, maybe you're not living up to your potential. So
I like that. So I'm gonna dig a little bit.
Sure.
What did you learn?
What did I learn?
Yeah.
All right. All right.
You said you learned a lot.
I did learn a lot. Yeah.
So what'd you learn?
Well, I learned a lot about myself and my own personality and why I make certain decisions the way I do. I learned that oftentimes I make decisions to not hurt people rather than making decisions that are going to be in my best interest. I'm afraid to hurt people's feelings. I'm afraid to insult anybody and speak my mind too much. And a lot of that comes from the childhood.
Oh.
There you go.
Now you're getting vulnerable. I appreciate
Yeah,
it because
yeah.
I think people see coaches and then there's this like automatic like, oh, you have a PhD. There's a story like he's coaching all these people. Like how cool. But I think I all of us like it's authentic. Like you're living life, and like all of us kind of go through the kind of a hard shit, and a lot of it stems from I think doing therapy is a very valuable thing that teaches you a lot of these things.
Oh yeah, definitely. Also asking you a lot of good questions if you have a good therapist, and you're not just there to blow off steam, but you're actually there to learn something about yourself.
Yeah.
Like the therapist should be asking you questions, open-ended questions, to get yourself to talk through these problems, to find your own solution to these problems, not to tell you what to do. Not to just listen to you vent. Sure, there's going to be some venting days and everything, but damn, if you're not learning anything from therapy,
maybe not the best
a month, 2, 3 months, however long you're in it, find a different therapist, man. Like it's my third or fourth one. I did a little bit when I was in the Navy too, just going through hard times and everything. So, and nothing really clicked. It was a lot of just echo chamber, venting. I wasn't learning anything, but I was also a lot less open-minded than I am now. So I'm probably a little too open-minded these days.
I wonder if that's a thing. I'm sure there's extremes for everything. So maybe that's not entirely incorrect. But I don't know. I think that would. I don't know. I think that statement takes some time to do some dissecting on. I think it does take time. I've been in therapy for like 10 years, and so like
Wow.
I've had a lot of different therapists, both good. Some of them that I end up being the therapist for, like, is really interesting. Like my daughter's going here, and this is what's going on in my life, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on? I've also had really good therapists, and so. I think you have to do a little bit of exploring sometimes to find the right person that's going to fit you. And I think also part of it really, I think a good note is you also have to be in the right place for it. And so you could very well have a great therapist, but then you're just there not listening, not doing the work. And so then they can tell you, hey, how about you read this book? Hey, how about you do this? Hey, how about you journal? And you're like, man, I don't want, yeah, that's a good idea. You talk about it and then you go home and you never do anything, right? They give you tools, and if you're not using the tools, then that's kind of on you.
Yeah. I like what you said, though, about finding the right time for it, though, because I went in when things were really, rough, when we started having a lot of problems, and I was going there searching for answers to figure out if it was best for me to still be in it. But deep down, I knew what was going to happen. I went in there knowing what was going to happen. if he asked me the right questions, I was going to come up with the answer, that I felt like was right. And what do you know? A few months later, did. So, but the timing was right to be able to do that, So timing is important, with something like that. So
I think a lot. I think
yeah.
most of the time we do have the answers inside of us. We
Yeah,
just
you don't.
need some people around us to
Yeah.
kind of push us that direction.
Yeah.
But they don't necessarily like tell you what to do. I'll go to like the most recent therapist that I had. I'm like, just tell me what to do, and she's like, Ben, I can't do that. I'm like, come on, man. Like we both know the answer here, but I just want you to say it. And she's like, no, you gotta go, and you say it. I don't know. I'm like, she was so cool though. I really enjoyed her.
Awesome.
Because it was like I don't know, kind of a breaking of the fourth wall, if you will. Like, 'cause I'm just like we both know you can't tell me the answer, but I'm still gonna ask you for the answer, and it's gonna be fun and playful, whatever. So I like that.
Yeah.
She was
and
cool.
how long have you been with your current therapist?
I was with her for about a year.
Okay.
Yeah. So
right.
I need a new one. I've been out of therapy for I don't know, like 3 or 4 months ish or something like that. Yeah. So I gotta get back in. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I still see a psychiatrist, and that's been fun. It's been interesting. A different experience. I think being in the world of health and fitness, and also like wanting to live living this like holistic life, has also, I think, somewhat driven me to also maybe not want to be so far on the Western side of medicine, where I'm like, okay, maybe that there is something going on, and I should probably take something. So like now I take Zoloft, and then like, is this really something that's good for me or not? And I was so fearful also about I think there's a little bit of a stigma, like, oh my God, like I'm on this thing. What does that mean about who I am? Afraid to say it, but then I've learned that there's actually a lot of people on medication, which I don't know is necessarily good either, but you know what? It did a good job for me, and it's served its purpose, I think, in my life. Do I think it could be overprescribed? I think, yeah, sure, but I also think that there's an issue of just overall community, and I think a lot of people are scared to hurt people's feelings. I think people are just, I don't know, hermits a little bit. Like, we're very to ourselves. Like, we're such an individualistic society that I think that we've kind of gone maybe a little too far into that individualism, and there's less of that community focus where, like, I remember going to the gym with my buddies and we would just kind of hang out. Like, the gym was always a good place for that, and I feel like I have that less and less, which is kind of disappointing, I think, at times. I think a lot of us feel alone, and I don't necessarily know why. It's even hard to get around with friends. And so I try to do a good job of, like, in my own community, like, hey, yeah, we're going to go bowling. We're going to go karaoke. I was at karaoke last night.
Nice.
Like, just to go do something,
Yeah.
Like, I used to go hike with a friend. Just like, what are you doing on Tuesday? Let's go hike. All right, let's just go do, again, just to have more of a sense of community. But I do think that I'm talking a lot, that because of the kind of culture we live in that is so wide in terms of distance, that it's really hard for people to want to get together, because I need to drive 15 minutes to get to somebody's house, and that's just a barrier that I think is rather inconvenient. So you have to drive 15 minutes that way, and then you have to drive 10 minutes that way, and then you're going to go meet downtown, and then, like, it's a whole thing, and then things are more expensive. And so I don't know, I like awareness before action quite a bit, and I think I focus a lot on the community aspect of these things. I think you see weights, you see a bed, you see good food. I would add personally just good friends.
Definitely. And that, I read about that too. Yeah, in there. That's one of the ways to sustain it, right? Sustain a healthy lifestyle is one of the strongest predictors for staying on an exercise routine is community, is that shared feeling of whatever you guys are doing together, right? Working out is hard. It's freaking hard.
Yeah. 100%.
Like, if it's not hard, you're probably not doing enough to stimulate the change that you want to make, right? You don't like it all the time, sometimes you do. I mean, like, I do it a lot for myself, for the feelings and the benefits I get after, right? There's certain exercises I enjoy doing more than others, right? Everybody does, you know, it's something you prefer.
What's your favorite exercise?
Uh,
You're gonna go
I
in.
like squatting, man.
Really?
Any kind of squatting. Like splits, Bulgarian split squats I just did the other day. Like they just make your freaking legs so damn strong, dude. Like,
This is true.
yeah. But I'm trying to hit a 400-pound deadlift right now, and I just hit 385 like a few weeks ago after
Nice.
not PRing for well over a year. Probably because I was doing all my lifting early in the mornings, right? But I come in the afternoons, you know, to Camp Rhino, and that's where I hit the PR. You know,
Nice.
just that little change, you know, in the time. But that was what my schedule dictated at the time. So I really want that 400 right now. So I'm really, really liking deadlifting, and but yeah, squatting, man. It's I can't live without squatting. So, but you
Good
know,
on you.
some people might argue, you know, if you see me in the gym, I'm also very good at body weight exercises, push-ups, pull-ups, because I did that all the time in the Navy. So those are kind of like easier to me, right?
Sure.
So I like them a little bit more. Yeah, man, can't live without squats. So, but
Cool. So everybody has their own thing that I think ultimately that they can gravitate towards, but that feeling afterwards is definitely rather. I worked out earlier today, and I really enjoyed it. And I think I'm kind of switching topics a little bit, but because of, have you ever coached a coach?
I think I've coached a previous coach, but not like a current coach.
I find coaching coaches has to be like one of the most valuable things in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that. Why do you think that?
Because I think it's very similar to what you're doing here, right? Like, if you can write it all down, communicate it, and I think while maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. In the process of you writing these things, you probably learned a lot about maybe even how to say it appropriately for someone to listen to, or the structure in which that you should present the topics or the ideas. Like there's a method, right? And then you also get to learn more about maybe the cues that you're using. Maybe this one isn't as good or this one is better. And so I think educating others is ultimately the thing. Like it really makes you into, I think, a better coach.
Yeah. And if you're coaching a coach, they more than likely respond far differently to cues, whether they're tactile, verbal, or, you know, visual. They're going to respond in a different way compared to somebody that is just getting started or fitness isn't their life necessarily. So, yeah, I definitely can see how that it just like broadens your skill set as a coach, right? And then if you're a good communicator too, which you should be as a coach, you also draw on their experiences too, right? Because a lot of coaching, especially personal training, is also a therapy session.
100%.
So for them, right, you know, you want to get to know your client. You want to understand what makes them tick, what they're excited about, maybe, you know, what they're stressed about at work and that kind of stuff, right? So, but it's completely different coaching somebody who's actually been there, and you can learn a lot more from them, you know, in that respect too. So, yeah.
I think sometimes as coaches we can, especially like if you own your own business, it can be hard to have outside input into what you're doing. And so like I might coach it like this, you might coach it like that, and you're like, oh, I should actually like that cue. Or oh, I've never actually heard that cue. Like, you can't see yourself unless you're like recording yourself, you know. And so like, I've always wanted people to be like, yeah, you're doing that wrong. But I think it's also hard to find good coaches at the same time. That I think in our space it can be hard sometimes to find like reputable people. You're like, all right, I'll listen to you. So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is a challenge.
Yeah, but I think like most of my experience coaching and just training has been in CrossFit gyms, and that's one of the things I loved about CrossFit. All right, I did level 1, I did all the way through level 2. I was going to do level 3 until I moved into sport performance, but the way they taught you how to coach in level 2 was phenomenal. Like very, very detail oriented.
Okay.
So I feel like in a lot of different CrossFit gyms, in general, right, the coaching skill set that you see is a little bit higher, on a higher level compared to big box gyms, with personal trainers just starting out, right? Because a lot of personal trainers tend to start out at big box gyms, get some clients, and then move on eventually, once they get experience and everything. But that was one of the things I always liked being around, like the CrossFit community, was that coaching aspect. And that's why a lot of the CrossFit gyms value, their memberships and their prices in that particular way, right? You're getting that extra coaching experience and the skills that come along with it, right?
That's
or
fair.
at least you should be.
Yeah.
So
That's fair. I never really thought about it. I've always wondered how the CrossFit level 1 and CrossFit level 2 really are, like how good they are. I don't have any experience in it. I think I kind of hate certifications a little bit. You have your CSCS, and I don't, and I never really wanted to I wanted to get it, and then I was in undergrad, and then I saw it was like $300 or whatever, and I was like, I can't afford. Yeah. I can't afford it, and so I was like, I bought the book, I read the book, I've read it, I don't know, 3 or 4 times now, never took the exam, and I was like, do I really need it? Like, you need it if you're gonna work in the industry,
right?
Like, if you're gonna go, if you want to work in a professional setting, unfortunately, you gotta have it.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go work in a professional industry and get paid not very fucking much.
I know.
So then how much, like, why is this such a necessary item if you're not even gonna fucking pay me? I'm good.
Yeah, it's just a check in the box to get yourself in the door as an option, you know, to be hired for positions like that, right? Like, in your CSCS, yeah, it's a tough exam. It takes a while to study for and everything. It gives you a ton of valuable knowledge, but it's only a piece of the puzzle, right? It just gets your foot in the door. Right? You still got to be a good communicator. You got to, be hired, for wherever you want to work, right? And then all the fun part starts, right? If you're working at a university or whatever, like, my God, the hours and the teams rolling in and out and everything. And, and there's what I've seen a lot when I was really working heavily in that area was a big push, and there continues to be a big push for strength coaches to have their pay, be a little bit better, right? And it's going to take a lot of time. I don't know if it's ever going to change to the expectations that they want. However,
it's always going to be lagging behind.
Undervalued, right? So
unless you're in a big sport like football or baseball.
Yeah, and at the top schools, right? Yeah. So, I'm not sure how baseball is, like how their strength coaches get paid, but I know football, like if you're at the top schools, it can be, lucrative.
Oh, you can get paid 7 figures. At Texas A&M, we had, and so I remember, and this is like when I first learned I did not want to be a strength coach, which is like, I also have my master's degree in exercise phys, so it's like a weird, but I realized that we had the football coach was making like, I don't know, a couple $1 million a year. Football strength coach, right? Yeah. A couple $1 million a year. The guy or the lady who had been there for 30 years that had done Olympic sports was getting paid like 40-something thousand a year. And I was like, I don't know. Part of me thinks right. Like, and this person is having to work. Again, I don't know entirely, but outside perspective, this person, the one making $40,000, is the first and last one there. She probably has like just an insanely massive wealth of knowledge. Versus this person, I think, is much more politically driven. They're good at playing the game, and like that's very valuable. Don't get me wrong; they also know their stuff. But this other person is like passionate about health and fitness, and the science, and like wants to get in the nitty gritty of the exercise phys, and I think doesn't necessarily get paid what she should have been getting paid.
Right. And I'm curious to hear what you have to think about how much of that is tied to just the country as a whole and what we value, right? We value the sport for itself, right? Especially like college football and everything. So that's where a lot of the money goes, right? It doesn't go to a lot of these other Olympic sports, track and field, swimming, volleyball, that kind of stuff, right? So I don't know. What do you think about that?
It's what sells tickets, and so like from a business perspective, I get it. Like they have more money to pay their people more because they generate more revenue. Like I get it, but so man, I say the but then immediately I'm like, well, shit. So I understand it. I understand that that's the reason why. I think it's unfortunate that we put so much value in the entertainment part of the thing rather than the education. And so that probably is a testament to how we like perceive. I think, or maybe our like how we function as a little bit of a society. We're very entertainment driven and less like focused on education.
Definitely.
And that's a little unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, it is unfortunate, but that's there's a saying like it is what it is, right? Until things are changed, if they're even changed, So what are we gonna do in the meantime? While things are the way they are, how are we gonna respond? You can respond if you're a strength coach. You can continue to work your way, through the industry and just accept it, for what it is. But there's also, like I said, NSCA emails coming out all the time, with coaches trying to get better pay, and it's slowly like inching up a little bit, at a time. So you can stay in it or you can move on and find something else, right? And a lot of coaches do move on and find something else, but that's a very individual decision, right? So coaches are weighing a lot of different options, just like I weighed a lot of different options to get to where I am, currently.
Yeah.
So, but
How much do you love the thing? I think because I think a lot of us do really enjoy being in the gym. We like teaching people. I think we are naturally we're educators, and then you like to, I think. I don't know. For me, I like watching somebody, hit their first, just even like just a bodyweight squat, and they've never been able to do bodyweight squat. Like to me, like that's like a win, right? We improve their quality of life because most of my athletes are going to be general population individuals, right? So just watching that is very fulfilling.
Those are cool coaching moments.
Amazing, right? Like, and they're so fulfilling, and so like you love it, but then at the same time, you're like, man, but I'm not, I'm not making as much as I want to, right? Or I could be in sales in another, I guess like the personal trainer versus the sales guy instead of a big box gym, right? The sales guy is making a lot more money than the personal trainer guy typically. And the personal trainer is the one that's supposed to have more of the knowledge. He's supposed to be the better communicator. He's supposed to be the person who understands exercise science. This person just has to understand sales, which is also a skill set in itself. It's communication. It's understanding psychology, maybe some, what is it called? Body. When you read people's body language.
Body language.
Thank you.
Yep.
So like it's a skill set in itself, but I think that the disparity shouldn't be necessarily nearly as vast as it is. I forgot what I was saying, but that's pretty much it, I think.
I think you were maybe asking me which one I prefer, which one I get more fulfillment from.
Sure.
Or coaching or research.
Yeah. Which one do you get more fulfillment from?
Well, let's go there. So, echoing exactly what you just said, man, all those coaching moments, right? And one of them that really like sticks out to me was when I was coaching back in Chicago. I had this, he wasn't a client of mine, but he was in a regular at the gym for group coaching classes, and he was trying forever to get a muscle up. And eventually, like I said, something that clicked for him, and I saw him get it and everything, and just like the look on his face afterwards, I was like, oh my God, well, I feel fulfilled right now. Like I'm going home, there's nothing left to do, like I, that is an amazing moment and everything, seeing that, right? And you get a lot of those moments from day to day, or, even if they're not PRs, just like something you hear your clients say, that makes you feel warm inside or whatever, right? It's the constant interpersonal interactions you get from day to day, all day, like every day. In research, it's a lot more secluded, and a lot more isolated. You're there, you're at your computer, you're researching, you're typing, researching, typing. You're waiting for other things to get done around the university and everything. I'm not bad mouthing it at all. I want to
These are the facts.
completely clear. These are the facts. This
Yeah.
is how it works, right? This is my experience.
Yeah.
All right. So as of right now, how I feel as far as fulfillment and what I get out of it doesn't even measure up to coaching. However, there's that financial aspect, right? That you have to balance and everything like that, right? So this was one of the reasons I wrote the books, right? A side project, something that I'm passionate about that will help people and make a little bit of side income as well, along with coaching, right? And there's, for other coaches, these are ways of doing it. If you're not happy with how you're getting paid or how much you're getting paid, how much you're making, find another way. Like I started my podcast earlier this year. I'm not expecting it to blow up, like Huberman or whatever, be making millions of dollars off of it. But it's something else that is a possibility in the future that I really enjoy and I value. And I love talking, to people like you about our experiences and everything. So it's one of those things like I'm trying to live by in recent times is, and there's always a way, there's always something you can do to make your situation better. And it could be right underneath your nose and right in front of you. You're just not aware enough to see it. So I don't know where I was going with that. However,
I didn't. I think some people don't. I don't think people man, I don't think people really understand how a PhD works. And so I think, and maybe that's a generalized statement. I think some people definitely do and some people don't. And so I enjoyed my experience working in labs quite a bit. Yes, there were definitely times where it was just like data collection and you're sitting at a computer and you're just reading and you're just doing whatever. And you're alone and it's late or it's very, very early because that's the only time you can get into the lab. I was fortunate to have some really cool lab mates, I guess. So like all the doctoral students that I was working with, most of them were really like good people. And so like, I'd go do jiu-jitsu with one of them, Tyler. Now he's an aerospace physiologist for the Navy. And he's just a cool dude. I just talked to him yesterday because his birthday was yesterday or 2 days ago. Oh, cool. And so I got to meet him, and he's just an awesome person. And watching his life and how he changed and being a published author because of that experience with him, and then working in the genetics lab, the same thing. Like we were like late night, like chopping off mice heads and like doing mice sacrifices, and like it was crazy. And we listened to these jams, and then maybe you're staying there in the lab at the time. So I think it really depends on the kind of lab you're in, and I think that's part of the reason that I think I'm a little bit. Not enough resistant, but a little hesitant to get my PhD at UNLV. I went to go visit a couple different labs, and I was just like, I don't know, man. Like, I just don't get that vibe, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I don't know if this is going to be a good decision for Ben.
And that's a really good point you bring up, though. Like, up till this point, I've been in the program for almost 2 years now. I'm just now getting ready to start recruiting participants for my study and to start doing all the data collection, which is the closest you could get to coaching, right, and research. So that to me is going to be the most fun aspect and keeping me busy and everything like that. So I am so looking forward to that, and then writing up the manuscript afterwards, analyzing all the data and everything. All right, what did we find? That's the exciting part. But I feel right now as a student, the only experience I have right now is these first 2 years of still taking classes and things kind of dragging on and everything and being on the university's timeline and all that. So once I get the degree and I see what other researchers are doing, and all right, I'm not a student anymore. I'm actually like maybe a postdoc. Maybe, move on from a postdoc position to a research position, and I'm the guy. I'm actually doing it now. Maybe things will change, with my mentality and how much fulfillment I get out of it and everything. But right now, this is where I'm at as a student and everything. So that's definitely an important thing to keep in mind. Like, I know this little part of the whole big picture is going to pass, and I'm going to move on to, the funner stuff. So that's where the difficult decision is going to come in about a year. What opportunities are available to me? What's going to make me feel the most fulfilled? And where am I at, with my life, personal life, and all that stuff too. So, yeah. But that's why I'm like, man, I could go any direction here. It's going to be a very tough decision. But I'm just kind of like, at this point in my life, just like talking through it and everything. And I feel like if you don't consider all these situations and possible scenarios, you're probably missing out. If you're looking at making a career decision, if you're in a similar part of your life as I am, right now. Like, I'm very open-minded. I ask a lot of questions. I consider a lot of different angles, sometimes to the point of driving myself crazy. But, I dial it back, when that's happening. But, yeah. But I feel like you have to be open-minded, to end up where you want to be.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm. What do you want to leave the people with? Anything you want. Where can people find you? Yeah, where can people find you?
So people can find me on Instagram mostly. So I'm not on Facebook very much anymore. So I still have Wolfpack Fitness on there. That's my page. I'm really not posting there very much. It's mostly on Instagram. So that is at coach_A Wolff. And Wolff is with 2 F's and no E. And also my podcast that I started earlier this year. So I'm trying to get episode 21 out there soon. Still working on a topic and my literature review and everything. Things are nuts, at school. So we'll see when I could get that out. But that's also called Wolfpack Fitness. That's on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. I have a YouTube channel as well. It actually just eclipsed 100 subscribers, so I'm pretty pumped about that. It was just like slowly growing for a while, and then all of a sudden just like blew up a little bit. So obviously people are getting some value out of it.
Good.
I have over 700 videos on there. Exercises, just like quick demos, but also detailed demos where I talk about how to do specific exercises. My podcast is on there too, a little playlist that you can see. I'm starting to do more video ones, even for myself, my own solo ones. And LinkedIn, I'm on there occasionally, but it's really just like for professional stuff. So, yeah, my main thing is the Instagram and the YouTube. So definitely follow me on there. And then if you need anything health and fitness related or whatever, just reach out to me. Shoot me a message on Instagram, shoot me a DM or whatever. If I can help in any way, I will. So
beautiful. And where can people find the books?
The books are on Amazon currently. So both of them, Skate, Lift, Recover, and Awareness Before Action. Just type the titles in, followed by book, and they will pop up. And yeah, you could get them. And Skate, Lift, Recover, that's available in paperback and Kindle version. And then Awareness Before Action is paperback, hardcover, and Kindle. And I'm currently editing the audiobook. So my first audiobook. So I have it recorded. The editing is that's the part that's taken a while. So probably realistically sometime next year, it'll be out there. So, but yeah, that's where you could find all my stuff. And,
beautiful.
Yeah. And I really appreciate you having me on, man. It was a lot of fun.
It was fun. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
It was fun.
All right.
Love y'all. Thank you. Bye. Sweet.
Cool, man.